finally we're on to the 3 different levels where we can have love. So we can have any type of love on any level. So we can have committable, sustainable, Venus, feels good love on a material level. We can have hard love that doesn't feel good but is useful to you on a material level. And we can have charitable love on the material level. Okay? So when you look at your material love you have in your life, you want to examine and see, is it committable, sustainable, 2-way street love? Is it hard love, or is it 1-way street charitable love? Okay? And remember ultimately that the only love that can last is the committable, sustainable, 2-way street love. Charitable love, as I mentioned, sometimes it might last forever throughout your life, but usually charitable love is something that's only there for a while, and then it needs to be put somewhere else. Okay? So, material love is really the question we have to ask ourselves, is this useful for me on the material plane? Okay? It's a really broad question. That means, does it help me with getting my needs met, getting my material needs met? Does it help me with food, clothing, shelter? Okay? Does it help me pay my bills? Does it help me get the things I need to get? Does it help me get the things that I want to get? If so, it's materially useful. Okay? In relationships, we don't really often look for material usefulness in relationships these days. In the Dark Ages, it's like it started with material usefulness. Like you read a Jane Austen movie, he gets this many pounds per year. That's the first thing about a guy, right? Second is how he makes the girl's heart flutter, things like that. These days we just focus on emotions. But it's really important to pay attention to the material usefulness. I see so many couples who cling to each other emotionally, but who materially have no material love. They're just not useful to each other. Or if there is a material love, it's a charitable 1-way street love. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Because with the material usefulness, because we live in a material world, is the foundation of being able to have a committable, sustainable relationship. But it's something we just ignore. But if you look at your life, think about the times that you got frustrated with your partner because they just materially weren't useful. Women more often are going to say, oh yeah, he just wasn't doing this and he wouldn't pay the bills and they complain more. But men complain about it too. I actually had one client who, he was taking care of his wife for years and she would do nothing. She did nothing materially usefulness. I mean, she couldn't even do the dishes, And he finally just tossed her out, okay? He literally threw her out. And this was after years and years. And at that point, he was being materially useful to her by giving her hard love. Hard material love, which is, okay, I'm being materially useful for you by forcing you to become useful. And then you'll have more usefulness in your life. And that's what he finally did. But more often I find women who complain about this, okay? But men complain about it a lot too, okay? They say, I want a prettier girl. What they mean by that, they want a girl who's materially has an easier time making their space attractive by her physical presence, okay? So people do complain about material usefulness, okay? Has to do with anything to do with your external life, anything solid and concrete. And it is an important foundation to our relationships. We might say, oh, that's superficial. Superficial not, whatever you want to call it or not. It is a level where love is found, and it deeply impacts the success of a relationship. One of the reasons it does so is that when something is materially useful, it bleeds over into our emotions. And so if something's materially useful to us, we find our hearts warming up to it. Okay? And then we automatically start developing love on the emotional level as a result of having love on the material level. Okay? It warms up that area. Okay? Now, people could not have material usefulness and they could just have emotional usefulness and really connect emotionally and feel good emotionally. And that's a different thing that we're going to talk about later. But the point I'm making now is that material usefulness, because it does feel good, does, when it's not the hard love kind, does move us into a place of emotional connections, okay? So realize it does have that there, okay? So it's important to understand a lot of the details of material usefulnesses. And the best way I can really explain that is by explaining what it is to have material usefulness to offer someone else, okay? Because if you want love on this level, what do you have to have? You have to have an asset. You have to have something that's materially useful to offer. If you have nothing materially useful to offer, you can't have sustainable, committable, material love. Okay, you can have charitable love directed to you, and you can have hard love on a material level directed to you. But you can't have the kind of love we all want, which is committable, sustainable, two-way street love, if you don't have anything on a material level to offer. Okay? So, material level, obviously resources. All the resources we have. How much money in the bank you've got, how much property you own, how many cars you own, how many valuables you own, how much gold you own, whatever. Your material resources, if you have material resources, you have more ability to have material love with someone because you can provide something of material use to them. Okay? With all these levels of love, we're going to find that in order to have it, you have to have the commodity. So we have material commodities, emotional commodities, and spiritual commodities. How much commodities do we have? Okay, on the material plane, our actual tangible resources are one aspect of what shows our value on the material plane. Okay, money's not everything. There's also, more importantly in many respects, is our resourcefulness and our skill set. What are the things we can do on the material plane? With or without money. Okay? Money runs out. Resourcefulness is forever. Money runs out. Skills are forever. Money runs out. The ability to learn new skills lasts forever. Okay? So those things all fall under the realm of your resourcefulness. The skills you have, how resourceful you can be, how creative you can be on a material level. The things can you fix things or not? It's a skill. Can you make something beautiful or not? Can you paint a house or not? Can you fix a car or not? Can you garden or not? Everything is materially useful. Every skill has its material value. Can you make jewelry or not? That's materially useful. Because now you can give a present. Can you cook or not? Okay? These are all materially useful skills. The most important skill is, can you learn or not? Because if you can learn, you can always develop a new skill, right? So, the more of these things you have, the more materially useful you can be to people. And the more people will find you materially useful, which means the more people will go, wow, I can have material love with this person because they're useful in a way that matters to me. Okay? That's useful to me because out of all of our resources, all the things we can do on the material plane, some of that might be useful to a person, but it might not be. Maybe for their life and what's important in their life and their destiny and who they are, the skills a person has isn't useful. So there is a personal quality here. The impersonal quality is really the money. Money is useful to everybody. But all of our other skills, all our other abilities to be resourceful, different people will find them more valuable than another person. Okay? And we all have skills and abilities that are most dear to us. Like things that we really just love doing. Like for me, I love fixing things. I love building houses. I love fixing cars. I love to fix my plumbing. I love doing that kind of stuff. So for me, as that's a resource that I love to use, it would really be a damper on material love if I had a partner who frowned down on that stuff and didn't find that stuff useful, because that's a big part of who I am. Okay, another person, might not be a big part, and so not having that, another person doesn't care, it wouldn't make any difference. So the point I'm making is the things that we have cultivated as our skills, the money we've made, the things we own, those create an element of compatibility with the people we're going to spend time with. Meaning those things have to be useful to the other people in order for there to be love. Okay? You can have all those things, but if it's not useful to them, it's not love. So giving it to them is not an act of love. Okay? So realize that as we look through these compatibilities or these areas of life and we find out what our skills are, what our values are, what we have to offer, it has a big impact on compatibility in the sense of who are we offering it to. Okay? Like I have astrological skills. I am not going to make any progress with those Jehovah's Witness chicks. Every Jehovah's Witness girl I meet is going to run as far away from me as I can, because astrological skills to them are not only not useful, it's a sign of the Antichrist. So when they see me, they see the devil coming for them. Okay? So that's an extreme example. But realize that people get to decide what's useful for them. And you can't say, well, I've got this and I can do this, so you got to love me. You can't do that. That's like when Ravana was yelling at Sita, every woman wants me. Every beautiful woman in the world is my wife. And I have all the wealth in the world, and I have so much knowledge, and I just can give it all to you. I would give you my whole kingdom. And she's like, don't need it. And he gets mad at her, says, well, how can you not want this? She's like, I don't need it. I got Rama. And Rama's living in the woods like a pauper, and she doesn't need it. So none of the stuff Ravana had to offer her was useful, because she had Rama. But you'll see people do that in relationships. They'll try to shove down somebody's throat what they have to offer, saying, you have to be with me because I have this, because I am this. Only the receiver gets to decide what's useful for them. Okay? Especially in a committable, two-way street love. So realize what you're good at, the things you love doing and therefore you're good at, the things you can prosper with. All those things are going to appeal to some people and not others. And the things that the people it appeals to, you have a foundation for love with those people. The people it doesn't appeal to, you have no foundation. It's like that story when you try to tell someone what to do, and it's not useful to them because of where their lives are going. And you get mad, why don't you just listen to me? Your life could be so much better if you'd listen to me. No, you don't get to say that. You can offer it if somebody says, nah, okay. Only they get to choose what they decide is useful to them, what they want to accept. Okay? But as a person develops more and more skills and more abilities and has more different variants of resources, of course, more people will find them materially useful. So, if you want to catch and capture more people, the secret to that is to develop more material usefulness. Okay? All the ways you can be useful that interest you, the more developed those are, the more useful you'll be to someone, which means the deeper level of material love you can have with them. Okay? And is material love superficial? Yeah. But we live on the earth plane, the most superficial plane of all. And then we got the astral plane under that, and then we have the causal, the mental plane after that. But the reality is, most of our experiences are happening right here on the superficial earth plane. And so, the superficial material love is very important to relationships. I mean, people who feel so emotionally connected to each other, they don't last. They cannot find any material love, any two-way street material love between them. And so eventually the person who's given all the charitable material love just can't stand having that person around because they feel taken advantage of, they feel uncared of. Because when we're materially useful to someone, we feel like they care about us. It's a demonstration of care. If we're growing up as babies and we're hungry and our mother doesn't feed us, we don't just go, oh, my mom's not able to be materially useful to me, I feel fine. No, that scars the baby's emotional body. Okay? The baby's cold in the crib and mom doesn't come and put another blankie on it or bring it to her bed and snuggle with it and keep the baby warm. The baby doesn't just go, oh, it's okay, mom can't keep me warm and be materially useful to warm me. I know she loves me. No, the baby's like going, I feel totally unloved because no one's being materially useful in my life. So we need people in our life to be materially useful because that's the first step that shows they care. And when we see that step, we're moving to the emotional realm with them already. Okay? The other really important part of our material usefulness is our physical assets. Okay? That means anything our physical bodies can do. How they look, how they move, how much they can lift, what they can do. These are big assets. Okay? A lot of people look at this as the most superficial part of being materially useful. I'm not qualifying anything here. I'm just talking about the facts. The facts are, it feels good on lots of levels to have a materially useful person on a really physical asset level. Okay? So like, if you have a guy who can carry you across the threshold of your new house, carry you up the stairs and drop you onto bed, that is materially useful. He can carry you. And that's going to feel really good because he's strong enough that he can carry a woman to bed. And he can carry possibly hundreds of women to bed, and he's showing he cares by using his physical ability to carry you to bed. And that feels good. It's materially useful, and it feels good. Okay? And it paves the way for this. Okay? Now, the girl is not going to be able to pick up the guy in most cases. In some cases, she could, which is really cool, actually. But in most cases, the girl is not going to be able to carry the boy to bed. But she can be the beautiful girl that he's carrying to bed. And she's physical useful in that. She's physical useful in her beauty, which means because she's beautiful, she's able to make the room look a little better. Okay? And I'm being very superficial here, but this is how it works. Okay? We're not going to sweep things under the rug that don't work because it's not politically correct or anything. Men like having an attractive woman around. It's just something that happens, okay? So if a woman has more physical assets of attractability, then the fact that she shows up and she says, you get to look at my physical attributes, the guy feels like, wow, you care about me. Because you could be showing your physical attributes to all those guys lined up. But you're letting me see your physical attributes by coming to my house and letting me pick you up and carry you up to our bed. Okay? So when we offer people our physical strengths, whether they're appearance or muscles or whatever, okay? So I'm talking, when we offer our material or physical assets on the most basic level, the most superficial of all level, brawn and beauty, you know, it's still the fact that we're offering it to the person we love makes them feel special. Okay? And it paves the way for emotional love, as superficial as it sounds. So, to be materially useful, we have to maximize ourselves as a material commodity. That means find what you love to do so that you can prosper with it, and through that prosperity, you have material usefulness to anybody. Okay? Find the things you love to do, the things you make money with, the things you don't make money with. The things that, because you love doing them, you're good at them. And now you have a resource to share and offer another person. That feels good to you when you do it. See, if you are in a traditional culture like India, and you're the woman, and you have to cook 3 meals a day, and you hate cooking, and you become a wonderful cook because your mama taught you how to cook good Indian food, and you cook for your husband, he goes, this is so yummy. Thank you so much. And he's enjoying eating it, but you're not enjoying cooking it. It's not two-way love. It's not committable, sustainable love. Because you're not enjoying the process of cooking. Okay? So, at that point, it's not love. So it shouldn't be done. Get a cook. Do what you love, hire a cook, right? The point I'm making is, the things we want to share on a material level, on the level of material love, they have to be things that we enjoy doing. I enjoy going to work and sharing my resources that I make from work with you, instead of I'm killing myself for you at a job I hate. Okay? That's not love. Remember, for it to be love, it has to feel good to both people. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. Okay? So the more things you develop, or once you recognize the things you really enjoy doing, okay, then that can be materially useful to you, to your partner, and create love because they're benefiting from it, it feels good to them, and you enjoy it. So if your wife wants an addition to the house, and she goes, oh, we need to build an addition, so get out there and start building the addition. You're like, all right, honey. And you go out to the garage and you get your tools and you start building an addition, but you hate building. It's not fun for you. But your wife loves having a new addition to the house. And she can't wait to get that addition. And she's like, oh, this addition is going to be so useful to me. It's going to feel so good to have this addition. But if the man is going, gosh, this addition, I guess it's useful, but I don't want to build it. I hate building. And then it's not love, because it's not a two-way street. Okay? It's not committable, sustainable material love. Then it's hard love, right? Okay? Or charitable love, but not the committable, sustainable. So look for the things that you enjoy giving, that are an act of, that feel good for you to do on a material level, and see if that lines up with something that's useful and feels good to your partner. Then you have material, committable, sustainable love. Okay? That's the most important kind, obviously, for any long-term relationship. The more resources you have, the more skills you have, the better you're going to do. Okay? And remember, these skills and resources will be of different level of importance to another person. If you have a house in the desert as a resource to someone who hates the desert and wants to be on the beach, that's not useful to them. That doesn't make you a better catch at all. There's no love there when you drag them to the desert house and say, look at this house I have to share with you. Okay? So, what's the point? So, the material world of love creates a lot of room for compatibilities. It's that way also in our appearances. What one person finds attractive and desirable isn't the same as the other person. Okay? One person likes tall girls, one person likes short girls, one person likes blonde girls, da-da-da-da-da. It actually tells the stories people tell me about what they're looking for in a partner, that's just on a physical level, are so very, very different. I went on a date with a girl once, and I thought I was like this good-looking dude. And she seemed like she really liked me, except every kind of solid, stocky-built dude who walked by, she was looking at him. I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I was like, what's wrong with me, And she would just look at these guys, a certain type of guy. Well, that relationship didn't go anywhere, obviously. And then when she got married, she married that kind of guy. I was like, I'm going to get that kind of guy? It's like, yuck. What kind of girl was that kind of guy? Wow, was she lovely. She was like the kind of guy that most kind of guys are chasing. And she wanted this particular kind of guy. That's what she was drawn to. Everyone that walked by, she was like watching him instead of listening to what I had to say. So the point I'm making is, what's attractive to one person is not attractive to another person. So whatever your material assets are, just like whatever your skills are, there's someone out there who's looking for that as a commodity. Okay? These days we struggle something called stereotypical beauty. It's a real problem in our culture. Okay? Because, and it's lessening. Actually, the last few years, stereotypical beauty types are lessening. But it's a huge problem in general in the world. It's really severe. I don't know, I haven't been in India recently, but when I was spending a lot of time in India, it was really severe in that a woman to be considered beautiful had to be tall and pale. And this was so extreme that I was walking into a shop with one of my friends once, and as we were walking out, this kind of gangly, scary-looking creature was walking out the door. And she was tall. Boy, was she tall. And she was pale. Boy, did she look anemic, you know? And my friend was like, oh my God, did you see that girl? I'm like, he's like, oh, did you see that? She was so beautiful. I'm like, trying to remember all the beautiful girls who I saw in that little store. And I was like, which one? He goes, you know, the one, right when we walked in, she walked out. I'm like, that unhealthy, strung out girl, is that the one you're talking about? He goes, oh, she was so beautiful. See her skin, how fair she was. And she had all that height. And it's like, wow. That was considered beauty by the majority of the population in India. I would have 14-year-old girls, 13, 14-year-old girls come up to me. Not come up to me, I'd be doing readings for their parents, and their parents would go, what about my daughter's prospects in marriage? And she'll be sitting there going, I'll have a hard time getting a husband because I'm not fair and I'm only 5 foot tall and I haven't grown in a year. And I was looking at this little girl and I could see she was 13 and she was just becoming to be beautiful. And I was like, wow, this girl is going to be a knockout when she grows up. I was like, wow, she's going to totally be a knockout. But she's sitting there just matter-of-factly, I'm just 5 foot tall and I'm not very fair. So it'll be much harder for me to get a husband. What does my horoscope say? I'm like, wow, baby. It says you better move to America and get a hot short guy or a hot tall guy. Who cares? Because you're going to be awesome looking. When I saw her next 5 years later, she was a beautiful young woman. But by Indian standards, maybe not. So it's sad that we have extreme stereotypical beauties in some world. In India, it's based on that idea. And I hope that's changed. I haven't really had those kind of incidences. I haven't read a lot of charts for kids and their parents in India in a long time. But it was just this, it was always happening. And there's a lot of beautiful women in India who are not tall and who are not fair, who think they're ugly, but they're actually really, really beautiful girls. So, and then in the West we have this Hollywood stereotypical, this glamour image of trying to make people look like they're not even people hardly anymore, and that's beauty. So we suffer against these stereotypes of beauty. Okay? But the reality is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you have to maximize your assets, which means in the context of your physical beauty, be as healthy as you possibly can. See, everyone looks different. Everyone has a unique beauty. Everyone's unique beauty can go up and down, depending on their state of health. You know? Like, I remember once I was sick for 2 weeks and I just looked like, no girl was going to look at me. Every woman in the world could have walked by me and they would have gone, ooh, right? I was just that trashed, Even on a moment-to-moment basis, the level of our health impacts our beauty, We all are a 10 of beauty for the person who considers our beauty a 10. Okay? We're all a 0 to anyone who might consider our beauty a 10 if we're the sickest we can possibly be. Okay? So realize we all have our individual beauty scale, and it's based on our state of health. And that's how it should be. Why? Because one of the reasons we're attracted to people, and the big reasons, is the urge to procreate. It's the urge to have babies. And we should be healthy when we engage in having babies. Because if we're not physically healthy, we can't do as good a job as making the baby and we can't we don't have as much energy to take care of the baby. And taking care of kids, babies, takes so much energy, you want to have as much health as possible. So as we get healthier, we're more attractive to the members of the opposite sex. And then we have more breeding chances, which is as it should be, because you need to be healthy to breed. So this is why we look towards beauty, and it's a biological urge. It's part of the mating ritual of babies are going to be here, and we want to breed healthy babies, which means healthy parents. Okay? There's 101 reasons we can have health challenges. I've suffered from severe health challenges in my life. That's why I became a naturopath. That's why I learned about healing. It wasn't just because I wanted to help people, because I wanted to stay alive. And so we need to maximize our assets. Maximize your physical assets. Be as healthy as you can. Okay? That's all you need to do. You don't have to change your appearance. You don't need to get breast implants. You don't have to get a nose job. Okay? You don't even have to wear high heels. Okay? You can if it's fun, but none of that's necessary to get a better catch, to be more materially useful on a raw physical level to the opposite, or even same gender, to someone who wants you. Okay? The only thing you have to do is maximize your assets by maximizing your health. Okay? That vibrancy will come through. That vibrancy will change your facial expressions. That vibrancy will make you maximize your physical asset potential. And yes, it's the most superficial one, but it's also the first thing somebody sees. And if you're a picture of health, you will be attractive to more people than if you're not. So work on your health as best as possible. And realize that if you have bad health and you can't look your physical best, it's not like the end of the world. Again, this is just one little superficial thing. Okay? The more we have on a material level, the more material love we can share with others that's lasting and committable. If we have nothing to offer on a material level, no one can commit to us, because we'll never be able to offer them the return that they need to stay there. Okay? And what people can provide on a material level is so different. What men can provide women on a material level, different. What two women can provide each other, different. What two men can provide each other, different, based on their individuality. But what matters is what they can provide is useful to their partner. Okay? So you can look at your partnership and say, okay, where are they materially useful to me? Don't say, where are they materially useful to somebody? Who cares about somebody? How are they materially useful to me? Okay? And then, how am I materially useful to them? Does it feel good when I'm materially useful to them? Okay? Or, I'm materially useful to them, but it doesn't feel good. Okay? Then that's not sustainable, committable, two-way street love. Okay? And that's the material love we need to cultivate in anything lasting. Okay? Now, charitable material love is just really easy to understand. I have financial, material abundance. Sure, take my extra car. Keep it. Here's the keys. You need a car. I don't need it. I got plenty. Okay? Or, here's $1,000. I got plenty in the bank. I won't miss $1,000. You need $1,000. Take it. So, this is the most basic form of charity, to give materially out of our abundance. Okay? Whether we give someone a house, a plot of land, whatever. Okay? We also have, I even know beautiful girls who are materially useful on a charitable level to guys who are sitting alone at home. And it's his birthday, and they're like, let's get together and take this guy out who never gets to be around a pretty girl. And they go and they take the guy out, and it's materially useful for him to spend a day around a pretty girl. And it's a charity case, But he's having fun. They're feeling good that they could spark a guy's life up for a day. For whatever reason, they're not involved with him because he doesn't maybe have the usefulness. So we can even be charitable love that way. Okay? Because we think the person deserves it, but we're not gonna, there's not the right thing there to create a two-way committable love. So there's lots of ways we do the charitable love. It's when you give something material and you're not getting anything back. Okay? Material hard love. Okay? That's when you're materially useful to someone by forcing them to develop their material usefulness. Okay, that's what happens when you see your kid watching TV on the couch and he graduates. And all he's been doing is watching TV and getting Cheetos embedded into the cracks on your couch. So what you do for his graduation present, you get him a suitcase and a one-way ticket to anywhere except the living room sofa. And that's hard material love. You force someone to have no choice but to develop their own resources. Okay? And this is something that I think it's mostly parents that have to do, not maybe in such a severe way, but every parent has to do it that way. One young guy I know, when he was around 24, and his father was paying him, he'd been paying him a certain amount of money, and the kid was having a great life, and finally the father said, "No, I'm not giving you another penny. I'm done with you. You're not getting nothing." And the kid said it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Okay? It sure didn't feel like the best thing that ever happened to him that day. But a year later, when he saw what he was able to accomplish because he stopped, he got off his dad's milk bottle and went out and became a real man, he was very happy and proud of himself, and he developed a resource base of his own. So that's the hard material love. Really, most material love is largely on the level of committable, sustainable relationships, where it's a two-way street of giving something we need to each other on a material level. Okay? And the most classic form of this is that really gender-dependent one of the rich guy with the beautiful wife. He gives her something pretty to look at, and he gives her money to have all of her needs met. That's like an extreme, okay? But a lot of people find that is all they need in the level of material usefulness, okay? The point I'm making with that example is that the material usefulness doesn't have to be on the same level. You can have a guy who has the financial base or a woman with the financial base. They just have the skill of making money, and they could be someone who has 101,000 skills to make their lives better. And so instead of that person worrying about money, they're using all their skills to make their lives better. And so they're trading, one person's trading material, financial resource for all the skills of the other person. Okay? So it doesn't have to be money for money, skill for skill. I got muscles, you got boobs. No, it could be any relation of all those things. Whatever the people decide is valuable to them. Okay? Whatever is important on a material level. Okay? And, the beautiful thing about life is, in some ways, it's just how superficial of creatures we are. Okay? How we can have these simple facts about us that can make us really materially useful. Okay? Like if you're a short person and you have a tall spouse, that's materially useful to you because they can reach the top cabinet. They can get things off the top cabinet for you. And by being materially useful to you, instead of you having to go out into the closet and getting the step ladder and putting the step ladder up and climbing it, or getting on a wobbly chair and risking, falling down and landing on the dishwasher with the drawer when it's open with the knife sticking up, accidents happen. They're basically saying, I'm showing I care about you by using my material advantage of height to get up here. Okay? And then the little person gets to pay him back one day when, they're working in a tight corner and they can't get in there. And the little person goes, "Hey, I can get in there and reach that thing you dropped behind the cabinet, and you don't have to take the whole house apart to get it." And so they can squeeze in there and get it. And the person feels, they feel loved there, and they give each other a kiss, and they say thank you, because even in these little stupid things where we have different physical assets, when we're materially useful to another person, it bleeds into that emotional realm. Okay? And so one of the beautiful things about material usefulness is often what's most useful on material level is the opposites, you know? Where people have very different things that they can do, but they're important to the other person to experience. They're useful for the other person to experience. Okay? So I guess that's material usefulness. It's pretty simple. I think I explained it way more than needed. I just want to mention a few things so you see it as a well-rounded thing, not just money for money or something like that. And we are in a society now where this is becoming a problem, money for money. The guy expects the girl to pay half on the first date and the last date. And there's usually a last date when that happens. It's important to demonstrate our material usefulness. Like that's something I see a lot of women having problems with. And this is a real problem where guys want them to split the dinner bill. Or guys want them to even pay the dinner bill because I paid last time. And what that's basically showing is, and you want to remember so much of our relationships on a material level, so much of our patterns that are healthy patterns have to do with the fact that, you know, we're biological creatures that can have children whether we want to or not. Okay? And so when the man buys the woman dinner, he's demonstrating his material usefulness to feed her. Okay? Why is that important? Because when she's pregnant and feeding the baby, she needs somebody to feed her. Because she can't be getting all the stuff, she can't be running around making the money to buy all the food if she wants to be a good mother. Because being a good mother is a harder job than anything the guy could possibly have to do to bring the money home. Unless he's got a real shit job. Motherhood is rough work, you know. There's no man's work like motherhood, okay? And so by demonstrating he's materially useful to her, by buying her food instead of splitting it 50-50, she's going to feel more loved, way more loved than if he insists on splitting the bill. Because that tells her whole biology, wow, things are always going to have to be 50-50 around here, and biologically there's times I can't do 50-50 with him because I'm doing charitable love towards my baby. 100% of the time, 24/7. And he wants me to do 50-50 with him all the time. Bad deal, I'm out of here. And the guy loses the girl. Okay? Always feed your girls, all right? That's the moral of that story. Always buy dinner. Okay? It seems superficial, but there's a deep biological reason to why we operate the way we do on a material level. Okay? Charitable material love. Okay, there's a really big one that is critical, and I hate to acknowledge this is true, but that's your children. Okay? Children are charitable material love. You're going to take care of them, you're going to feed them, you're going to make their diapers clean, you're going to materially clean up their poop, you're going to materially give so much charitable love to them, it's useful to them, and you're never getting it back. They're never going to pay you back. And they're not supposed to. You're paying back by taking care of them. You're paying back the debt to your parents when they wiped your booty and they fed you and they stayed up all night to keep you warm and keep you from crying all night long. So children are the biggest charitable material love anyone can have. And the abundance you need to do that without wanting to strangle the little bastards is huge. That's why children are ruled by Jupiter. And ideally, you should have children when you're in a committable, sustainable, material love relationship. So you have a working material world with your partner where they're useful to you materially so that you can have the abundance to be charitable to the kid for many, 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 many years. Okay, then you need to have the emotional usefulness with your partner so you're feeling happy enough to survive all that charity to a screaming, pooping little monster when they are that way. Okay, otherwise you just want to football them out the window and say, touchdown, you know. And so you need to be in a good emotional state and a good material state, and then it's much easier to be in the state of charity. Because remember, charity comes out of abundance. Okay? It's hard on kids when their parents don't have abundance. Okay? It's very, very hard on them because then the parents don't have the energy and the resources and the time to provide the charity the kid needs. Okay? There's a reason traditional cultures don't let kids look at each other until they have a real job, until the guy has a job, the guy is useful. One of the saddest things we see in the modern world is men who are materially not useful to anyone are making babies like babies are going out of style. As a result, in America, 40% of babies are being raised by single mothers. That's like a staggering amount. And many of these single mothers are not even getting child support from the father, okay, because he's so materially useless. And so the mother has to find all this charity for her child without the material usefulness of a provider. And it's brutal. And many of you out there know this. And it happens too. Sometimes the father gets stuck with the baby. Gets stuck. Oh, it's so horrible. It really feels that way. Has to give all the charitable love to the baby. And the father has no one to help on a material level. The father has no one on an emotional level. And somehow they have to find all that charitable love to give to the child. All this extra emotional joy to give to the kid, to nurture him on an emotional level. All the material extra work that has to be done. And it's brutal. So, when we are going to involve ourselves in a huge act of charity, and the biggest act of charity we can involve ourselves in is raising a kid, we need to have the abundance to do that, which means committable, sustainable material love and committable, sustainable emotional love. Without either of those, raising kids becomes something very hard. Charitable love is joy. It's joyous. It feels good to give charitable love because it comes out of abundance. But if you have to give charitable love and your pocketbook is empty and your heart is empty, wow, is it hard? And wow, does that impact the kid? Okay? So these really basic thing of material love, it has really long, deep repercussions. It's going to have repercussions on generations after you're dead. It's going to impact your kid. It's going to impact how his kids are. It's going to impact how his kids are going to be. So this superficial level is not superficial at all, because the baby feels unloved when it doesn't get fed, when it doesn't get this material thing. We have these bodies. Everything comes in and out of them as a material thing. We see something on a material way. Okay? We hear things. It's all coming material. One of the nice material useful thing is the ability to say kind words. That's like materially useful. How is it material? It's sound. It comes from the outside. It's on the material plane. We make sound on the material plane. If someone speaks nicely, it's materially useful. It feels good. It's sustainable. It's useful because in speaking nicely, we're able to see thing we can't otherwise see. But if we speak harshly and mean and impatiently to another one, rough to someone and scalding to another person, it's not materially useful. Because you can't see your errors when somebody's talking to you that way. Because immediately you get defensive, right? It's not materially useful to talk to someone that way. It's not useful to them. And it doesn't feel good. So the very way you speak to another person is in the realm of material usefulness. And right away, it bleeds into the emotional realm. That's why I have these red arrows here. That's blood moving into the other realm. So, the sweet speech, speaking kindly, can make the difference between keeping your relationship or not. As it's a material use force. It's useful to speak kindly. It's useful to be spoken kindly towards. And it feels good. Therefore, it supports material, sustainable love. And it's happening on a material level. You're taking it in. What you see, you're taking it in. If you're seeing a frown all day long, it doesn't feel good. It destroys committable, sustainable material usefulness. Everything that first impinges on our senses is the material realm. Looks, smells, sound. They're all material useful. Okay? They're all having an impact on us on a material level that will bleed into the emotional level super quickly. So you want to maximize those. Smell good. Look good by being healthy. Speak kindly. So you actually demonstrate your care in kind words. Instead of say you're caring with harsh words, you're like, really? That's caring? If that's caring, I don't need it. Okay? And this is a very important part of being material useful. So if you're a person who can maintain your patience and speak kindly, you have an asset, a huge commodity in the world of material usefulness to another person. Because it's never useful to speak harshly unless there's a moment of hard love. And hard and harsh have the same root. But in committable, sustainable love, there's no room for harsh words. Okay? So anything you're taking into your senses is operating on the material plane. So now you see how this material plane, there's nothing superficial about it at all. It's the foundation for all your emotional experiences. If a guy says, I love you, sticks a baby in you, and leaves you to starve, does that feel like love? But he just was so emotional, I know it had to be love. No. There's no love there. You know, he's not useful to you. Okay? So, think deeply on the material, on this material realm, and the usefulness of the usefulness people have. And if it seems too superficial to buy, those superficial things can be so important. You know, oh, they're nice. They speak kindly. They look pleasantly. They're smiling instead of walking around with a frown all the time, you know. They give me something that feels good by their very presence versus something that feels harsh and painful by their very presence. That's material. Okay? And to have that, ultimately we have to be healthy, to provide that level of material usefulness, to look good, to smell good, to sound good. Those all have to do with our physical and emotional health. If we're emotionally healthy, we'll sound good, you know? If we're physically healthy, we'll smell better than if we're physically unhealthy. If we're physically healthy, we'll look better than if we're not physically healthy. So we need to work on our physical and emotional health in order to do these things. Okay? A person who is materially more able is going to speak kinder too, because they're not going to be impatient. When you're physically unable, you're like stressing out for 101,000 physical things. And so you're not going to speak patiently, because you're just rushing to keep up with stuff all the time. Patricia Allen, who is a very successful relationship coach, she said women have to look good, sound good, and smell good. You know? Wow, is that superficial? But the reality is, it makes a difference. So, we need to all maximize our assets, okay, by being healthy on a physical level, by developing the skills that we find enjoyable to use, and by finding a way to have something material to offer as well. The more of those we can do, the more material love we're going to have. And it's a competitive world out there. It really, really is. God made it this way. In the animal kingdom, the strong animal wins, the weak animal dies. The strong animal gets more food, the smarter animal gets, finds more food, the animal with the stronger constitution, more energy, finds more food and lives. His babies live, the gene pool develops, the other ones die. It's the same in the human world. Okay? It is a competition. And if that sounds superficial to some of you all, that's fine, but that doesn't change the reality is that it's a competitive world. And people want the best for their children. Women want the best man they can find for their children. Men want the best women they can find for their children. If they don't, they want the best woman they can find for this, or that. Whatever it is that's important to them. And the woman wants the best man for this, and that. And the gay guy wants the best gay guy for this, that, or that, depending what he wants. And we need to maximize our resources on a material level and recognize that whatever they are, how odd they seem, 1,000 people might walk by and say, nope, that's not what I'm shopping for. Nope, that's not useful to me. That's not useful to me. There's someone out there, whatever it is that makes you really unique on a material level, that's what they need on a material level. That's what they're looking for. That's the body type. Okay? That's the whatever, the facial structure. That's the timbre voice. That's the interesting things that you can do on a material level. They're looking for that package that you are. That's really hard to believe in this world of stereotypes, you know. But see, stereotypes are made by man. They're bullshit. God made each of us, and He made us all capable of finding our destinies. And that means our destiny of love as well. Okay? So I hope that helps everyone grasp this level. Enough said. Thank you.